tell you,
no
a show that
nonsense.
I really got enthralled with was, I don't know what it's called, but it's Goldwyn. It's the guy that runs the auction house, but he's been sports memorabilia for
Yeah,
years.
it's on. Is it
It's on
Netflix?
Netflix. Yeah, it's on
Netflix. Yeah, I
Netflix.
saw it on there. I didn't click in, but
Golden Touch.
okay.
So, yeah, so I binge watched that. I saw Flair. Flair was on there. He authenticated a robe.
He gets on. How does he get on everything?
He's Ric Flair.
Yeah. But Ric Flair today, which is it's impressive. It's not a. I'm not shooting on him. I'm just saying that.
I think that he's. It's like the Bowie song when they pulled him out of the oxygen tent. He asked for the nearest party. Diamond Dogs. Flair came out of a fucking deathbed coma, fucking with alligators on, fucking right into the bar. I got this round. There's only one Ric Flair.
Right.
Love him or hate him, fucking. I tell you what, man. Look at my face right now.
You smile.
I'm smiling.
Right.
Anytime I see Rick, man, I'm smiling because one day he won't be with us anymore, and I won't be a person. If I he'll probably outlive my ass, but I won't be one of those people that says, you know what, man, he didn't squeeze much out of life.
No, I was going to say that the lesson from Rick is the pedal is always floored.
Always.
It's
You know,
fucking floored.
I'm I'm
Everywhere,
re-
anything he's doing,
I'm
it's
really impressed with Hulk right now because it's just I watched Hulk on Instagram walk into that fucking Paul fight. And man, he's doing the no sell, but brother's on a fucking he's hurting with that back.
mm-hmm.
And he showed up at the fucking for Trump. He's pushing that all American beer. He's in Michigan this weekend. It's one of those things and people are just like, I thought Hogan had money. I'm like, he does. But he's got a brand new wife that hasn't lived like
hasn't lived more than how many years?
well, I'm just saying, it hasn't been a part of Terry's life when Hulk
Was Hulk.
yeah, like if somebody's in love with you, man. Which you're not like, oh, I wish I could. Fuck, man, you want to be? That was the reason Goldberg came back, because Gage was so fucking young. Gage didn't get a chance to see Bill's run, and Bill said, "Fuck it, I'll just have another run."
Mm-hmm.
God bless him.
Yeah. See, Rick had the girls want to fuck him, guys want to be him. The James Dean, the movie star thing. Whereas Hulk was a real life. He like fell off the cover of DC Comics for us
Right.
when we were kids. His appeal is the superhero that you can't kill kind of thing. Very
And,
different appeals, but I
and
get your
my
point.
whole thing was the first time because I wasn't like once I was a wrestling fan as a kid. I watched the Sheik and Bobo and basically that big time
Pampero Furpo.
wrestling.
Can we get a Furpo in there for
Get a
Waltman at
Furpo,
least? Okay.
Igor, Moose Chodlak, Kangaroos. But I stopped watching wrestling and started watching basketball
Right.
because I wanted to be a basketball player. So while everybody else was fucking around with foreign objects, I was down at the end of the street at the Catholic school shooting hoops.
So you were
So
getting laid, and everybody else was watching Moose Chodlak.
right, exactly. But
So you missed that. I
the
mean, you
first
were
time,
aware of it, but you weren't watching like
well,
the
well
Rock and Wrestling
no, but the
Connection.
first time
Cindy,
I saw Hulk was on Rocky. And
right,
I was like, who
83
the
or 82. Yeah.
fuck is that? But I knew who Flair was
Well, because
because
he would have done, well, no, year what? Give me the year. What are we talking about when you were
I don't
watching?
know, but
Late.
I used to, I remember fucking when I was bouncing, and I've been bouncing I was probably 20 when I really started bouncing. And I'd always say, I'd say, man, you got to go. And the guy, oh, I say, dude, you don't have to fucking like it, but you just got to learn to love it. 'Cause it's the best thing going today. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like,
Oh, yeah. All of Rick's
yeah,
colloquialisms. Phenomenal. Whether you like it or don't like it, sit down and look at it
can't
'cause it's
keep
the
these
best going.
alligators down.
And then then Flair Mach 2, when he was no longer the youngest guy in the ring in the 90s, changed it to, because he used to call himself Space Mountain in 85 when Space Mountain was the hot new ride in Disney. So then in the 90s, he referred to himself as Space Mountain and say the oldest ride in the park with the longest line.
And I used to always like this. He'd be cutting a promo, especially like early WCW when it was like doing stand up on a fucking cruise ship, being out in the ring. And it's like fucking 1,300 smart marks at the fucking Philadelphia Civic Center out by the railroad tracks. And Flair would fucking be cutting a promo. He'd stop and he'd look at some girl and he'd go, "You can't be first, but you could be next." And he'd fucking give her a couple of pumps and then go back to cutting his promo. And he was just sitting there looking through the curtains going, now if I did that, I'd get fired. And he gets a pop.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, as time went on, because when I got into the business, Ole had the book, and then towards the middle end of that, I remember like Jacksonville was always a good town for WCW in the early 90s. And talking like a $45,000 house was huge back then. But Jacksonville was always a crowd. And I remember Rick had the book. And I remember like being in this like this back area and seeing like him and his cohorts putting some shit together for the show. And that was like the first time I actually watched, firsthand how this shit was put together. So.
I never did. He's one of the ones that got away in the kayfabe era. I never got to interview Rick, and I'd love to, because I think to give myself props as an interviewer, I tend not to go for the low-hanging fruit. I don't need to know the stuff that I can find out easily. I would talk to Rick about when he was champ, 85, 86, that era, Jim Crockett Promotions. The fucking guy would be in a suit, like legit, before getting to the arena at the airport in case he was seen, because you got to carry the image, right? So how did he fucking travel? And that belt was ridiculous. How much shit he would have to lug. And especially when if he was doing like the Carolinas or whatever, where he had a house, maybe he could get home every 2 days. He's working Dallas for a week and then maybe going to San Francisco for a week.
I used to watch those divas when they first fucking really started to push that fucking whole trademark.
Yeah.
And that idea and that identity. And the girls, man, it was like being a Brana flight attendant back in the day. Like, you had to be hot. You had to be made up. It wasn't like you could throw your long hair in a ponytail and put on a baseball cap and get on a flight that morning.
Right.
Every one of those girls, man, it was, and it was a testament that, and then at the same time, I remember seeing Trish, and as beautiful as Trish was, and everything else, you'd walk into the training room, and she'd have a split lip and a black eye and bruises all over it, and it looked like she was in some abusive hillbilly eulogy relationship. Probably with a husband that drank Diet Mountain Dew. I don't know.
And then how many suits Rick would get them ripped off him during the schmazzes at the end of at 8:03.
Rick wasn't no dummy though. I guarantee you, he was giving somebody a fucking receipt for that.
Yeah, this is the shit that I would talk to him about.
Yeah, because I know Rick. Like, okay, this lapel's a little out of fucking style. If I'm going to get it torn off me by Blackjack, he can tear this one off. I'll go get a new one made.
Right.
Get something more style. Yeah, I need a new double-breasted.